Dated a girl twice, all smooth. I was polite, kind, chivalrous. We scheduled a third date, and out of nowhere, she texted me saying she's not interested. Constant rejection after rejection has made me officially check out of dating. I'm done. Not worth my mental health anymore. I have all my ducks in a row, but I guess being a father isn't part of my destiny. That's a tough ending. What do you think, Matt?
Well, it's easy to be a father. That's it's not really a big deal. To be a real father is a big deal, but to be a let's see, to father a child is no big deal. My thought about it is, he sounds really okay. I hate to say it this way, but he sounds like he hasn't practiced dating skills, and he's really boring. I feel that the guy saying, "I have my ducks in a row. I was polite, kind, chivalrous." Please excuse me for I'm not making fun of you if you've wrote this. It's just that you really do set a tone to me as someone that's super super boring, and I don't think it's an excitement there factor. And I think it's good that she actually told you she's not interested. A lot of girls, they just fade away and ghost you, and they don't even say anything. They don't like to reject a guy, so they just tune him out. So I think that you want to work on dating skills. One of the skills that you could work on is trying to get a girl and you to get into a different mode than you are with guys or with your coworkers, where you're kind of making some jokes, challenging her a little bit, kind of a flirtatious, challenging bit that's kind of fun and exciting. I feel like you probably haven't practiced that, and you kind of feel uncomfortable, and you kind of feel a little bit stiff and awkward. So you make her feel that way, and then she's not interested in you in a male-female dating thing anymore. That's what I get out of this. It's really quite common. And then the part about mental health, that tells me the same thing, because you're trying so hard to be someone you're not, trying to project an image, chivalrous, polite, kind. Now, you might be all those things in a way, but you're working really hard. And that's a shame, because if you're working really, really hard, that means you haven't practiced the skills, so they're not second nature to you at all. You have to work really hard at it, and it's a strain and it's a stress. And it shouldn't be a strain or a stress. So I think that a lot of men are not getting enough dating experience, and they're not learning the dating skills. So when they do have a date, they put so much into it because, there aren't that many of them. And I know when I was dating, I didn't have a lot of dates either, but what I learned to do was I learned to get a supply of girls to go out with, so I'd feel less and less awkward, because it became a more common thing for me to go out on a date. And so it became, and then I was able to relax, and then I was able to project more personality into the date. And then I was able to get, kind of be a more interesting person, and because of not having to stress and strain and work so hard, and without being so stiff and awkward about it. So I think that's what I would say. I don't think you should write any of this off, man. I think that you just have to work. And I think today people expect, well, I just have to be natural. It has to be something that has to come out of my heart. Why should I work at something and package myself and present somebody that I'm not? That's phony. But actually, you have to kind of work hard to be natural. Dating itself is a difficult and unnatural thing because we don't do it enough, and it's nerve-wracking because we feel like there's so much at stake. But if we practice some skills and then we go out on a bunch of dates, we can begin to learn how to relax, and we kind of have the pattern and everything down enough that we can sort of focus on the girl, we can focus on the dating experience and enjoy it, and regardless of whatever the outcome is. And I think at that point you have a successful dating experience. That's what I would say.
What do you think he means when he says he's got his ducks in a row?
Well, he raised his ducks, and he's got them in a row, at the pond or whatever. I don't know. I think what he means is, I've got my shit together. These girls, they don't have their shit together. I've got mine together. I think it's from being super nervous, really.
Well, I think when he says I've got my ducks in a row, it's like I've got a job,
Mm-hmm.
I pay my rent on time, I don't have any debt, or I'm managing my debt. Like, I'm responsible in all these ways.
Yeah.
And basically what he's kind of saying is that, like, I'm a good dude who does all the right things. And here's the thing. Women don't like that. Women like a guy who's dangerous, who breaks the rules a little bit. This is why the guy who kind of doesn't do his homework gets the most girls in high school, right? Because women are attracted to guys who break the rules. So actually what he's describing is what we've been told. Our whole lives we're kind of told, oh, this is what you should do. Be a nice boy who's just nice to the girl and pays
Right.
for everything, and then she'll like you, and it doesn't work. And it's, of course, it's frustrating because you've been told what to do your entire life, and then when you finally do it, it doesn't work. And that's the problem, is that what he thinks is attractive is not. Women date guys. I used to know a guy who was homeless. He was literally homeless. He would date a woman, stay at her place, and then he would find another woman and then move into her place.
Wow.
And he was just going from woman to woman for like years.
Wow.
Because he was moderately good looking, knew how to get attention, and he had no ducks in a row. He had no ducks. Was literally homeless. If he couldn't get a girl to take him home, he had to sleep in the streets. And it just shows that what we think matters. We think as guys, right, that like, okay, we put our house together, our house is in order, we have our finances in order, but it's not what matters. What women want is a bit of excitement. Everything he described, and I think you brought up something really good. A lot of men approach dating linearly. I will meet a woman, I will date her until it ends. I will meet a woman, I will date her until it ends, without any element of exclusivity, which is the difference. Most women are kind of group daters. Like, I'll date 10 guys, and if one of them's a winner, I'll stop dating the other ones. Women are perpetually running us through a game of Hunger Games. She wasn't saying, I'm only dating you and now I don't want to date you anymore. She's saying, hey, you're out of the tournament. You've been eliminated. And he's hearing what's not happening. And that's very important for men to understand, is that women date multiple men at a time. Women always have multiple things on the go. It doesn't matter what she looks like or what you think. Even if you think you're dating a two, every study has shown that on Tinder, it doesn't matter what you look like. Anyone who's a 2 or above, it gets messaged about 100 to or more
Girls,
messages.
girls
from men.
do, not guys. Guys don't. Girls
No,
do.
not guys. No, guys. No. So 80% of men are messaging like 80% of women, whereas 80% of women are only messaging the top 5 or 10% of guys. So it's very different. All the women are just aiming at the guys at the top, but the men are aiming at a much wider spread of.
Yeah, but
I wanna get my wish.
and your homeless guy. The interesting thing about your homeless guy is that he got really good at it because he had to. So he just practiced every night. He had to convince a girl to let him go home with her. So he practiced and got really good at that. I just think that these guys aren't practicing at all. They're not working at it as a skill. They think it should be a natural thing, and it's not. And this guy is just bad at it, right? He's boring because he's bad at it.
Let's talk about the core advice, which is be yourself, which is literally the best advice you can give, but it's the best advice you can give when you understand what it means, but it's also the worst advice because it's completely impossible to implement.
Terrible.
Because it's like, I be myself the whole time. It's not working. So it's a very interesting piece of advice, because it's really bad advice for 99% of people, but only when you're an elite dater does it start to make sense.
Well, wait a
and
minute though.
shift.
Wait a minute though. You can be yourself if you already like have it all covered, and you. It's sort of like this. Let's say that you're learning how to drive. Remember how you learned how to drive, how hard it was, and how you were sweating, and how just every little thing was a big deal, right? So now when you drive, you don't even think about it. You can talk on the phone, you can text, or all three, whatever, and you're driving, you don't even think about it. That's how it has to be with the dating. You have to get to a point where your skills are good, where you're comfortable, so then you can focus on, having fun and everything. So when you want to be yourself, you need to get past the learning stage so you're not nervous. That's what I think. I think this guy hasn't gotten past that.
Let's jump into this idea of dating as a skill, because I think that's very important. We think we're born either I'm good at dating or bad at dating. I present who I am, my offer, and then we either like me or don't like me. And this is something really important, which is that you can get better at dating. You can get better at making friends. You can get better at conversation, because we've all seen the movie or done it ourselves where we've said the dumb thing or taken the one on a dumb date and realized, like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. That piece of I shouldn't have said that, the more of those you run into, the better you get. Like, I went through a period where after I was getting a lot of girls' numbers, I was going on a lot of first dates and getting no second dates. I even went through a period where I would get girls' numbers and they wouldn't text me back, or they wouldn't answer my calls. I would get all these numbers that just died really fast before the first date. So it's a phase. If you don't realize it's a phase, if you don't know that it's an improvable skill, then you can't get better. Like, that's the life-changing revelation, is that you can get better at dating, you can get better at conversation, because guess what? I'm still getting better at being a dad. I'm still getting better at being a husband. It's only when you think that you're static, and that's a misbelief, that's a false belief, that's when you get really stuck and stagnant. But it sounds like, and it comes from a matter of perspective, because if he was dating 20 different women, he wouldn't even remember this. Like, and it's not to sound like prideful, but I remember a girl once broke up with me and I didn't know for 6 weeks because I was dating so many other women. And until you're exclusive, until you say, oh, it's just you and me, that's kind of what women are expecting, because that's what they're up to for sure. They're saying, oh, you're probably seeing other people because I'm seeing other people. And they keep other people, even if it's just on deck or they're trying things or going on a lot of first dates. There's a lot of women that will go on 20 first dates a week because they can. And that's a different approach to dating, and it's a much more successful approach because you're going, you know what, I'm going to choose the person I like from the group rather than I'm going to date someone. If I like them, marry him. If I don't, I'll date the next guy. That's a much riskier proposition. You're less likely to find a winner. So you definitely want to change that mindset. I understand as well the mindset of, hey, I had a bad experience, I'm just going to retire from dating. And the final thing I want to say is that most of the time my experience has been when someone says they had a really good date, if you ask the other person, they had a bad date.
Really?
Usually people, yeah, here's why. 99% of the time when someone says I had a really good first or second date, they did all the talking.
Oh, yeah.
It's always they go, oh, I feel like I've known him my entire life. And it's like, how much did he talk? Almost zero.
Yeah.
So whoever talked most usually is the one who's like, oh my gosh, that was an amazing first date because he really listened or she really listened.
Yeah.
And the other person going, oh my gosh, this person never stops talking. So it's very interesting that usually if you have a really good first date, usually means the other person didn't. Very rarely do you both have a good first date because it's not normal. I had an experience once where the first time I slept with a woman, it was so bad. And we were like, what happened? And I was like, the good news is it can only get better from here. She did not see it that way. She had a different perspective. But I was like, would you rather our first time together was the best and every time after that it gets a little bit worse? And, you know, she wasn't thinking logically. I was like, I would much rather be able to get better and better and better over time than peak with my first try and then never recapture it. But your first date is not going to be perfect. Like the goal of the first date is not to make the person fall in love. You want to be strategic, and the goal of the first date is just to get a second date. The goal of the second date is to get a third date. If you start planning small steps and have a specific goal, oh, on my fourth date, I'm just trying to get that fifth date. That's a much better strategy because a lot of people, like, then at the end of the first date, they don't ask for the second date. They go, I'll ask for it later because they've forgotten what the goal is.
Well, I think the real key here is the polite, kind, and chivalrous. That is another word for extremely boring. So that's just because he hasn't built up dating skills. And you need to go on a lot of dates, and you need a good supply. So the thing about women, I think you've mentioned this, but I would put it this way. Women look at dating like a stove, and they've got a back burners and front burners, and they're always moving the pots around. You know, the back burner guy can be on the front burner. They got a front burner guy, but they have a few back burner guys, you know, that sort of thing. So they've always got that. But men oftentimes just have one date, and they fixate on that girl, and they don't ever have anybody else. I think it was when I started learning how to get women to go out with me that I started really enjoying my dating, and I started being, you know, kind of a fun person. And I stopped caring that much about a particular date, and that's when it really started going very well for me. I wanted to also mention one thing that can help a great deal is our sponsor is Ideal Labs, Ideal Male, with a product that has animalic accords. It's a special type of cologne that you wear called an attraction cologne. And there's thousands of guys have been using this. They've gone to different places in the United States, and they've exposed women to this scent, and they just can't get enough of this scent on a guy. And it really helps because although men are visually oriented, we like to look at a girl and we think she's sexy the way she looks. Women are a little bit different. They get close to a guy and a scent of the guy that really turns her on. So this is a tremendous scent because of the animalic accords, ambergris, castoreum, civet, deer musk, and this is an amazing attraction cologne. There's nothing like it on the market, and the company will send you a bottle, to a full-size trial bottle, and all they ask is that you help them out with the shipping, and then they give you a chance to try it out, and you'll just love it. So visit the link that you see on the screen below and get your bottle while they still have them. I think you're going to love it, and we'll see you on the next video. Remember, hit like and subscribe, and if you like this video, take a look at this one. I think this is going to be the next one for you to watch.